Hi, first grade mathematicians. This is Mrs. Owens. You've been doing such a great job with all of your geometry lately. Last week we talked about attributes and we used this chart. We used attributes to describe different shapes with how many sides it has, how many vertices it has. We counted the corners, and a lot of you guys did a great job on your shape sort as well. We also sang the polygon song together, which reminds us about a lot of the different things that make a polygon and helps us remember what is a polygon and what isn't. So this week, we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive and we're going to talk about how attributes define shapes. So we're going to start by looking at two different shapes. So when you look at this screen, there are two shapes to the right and the directions say, how are these shapes alike? How are they different? Record your ideas. Instead of writing your ideas down, you can feel free to pause the video and tell a friend or grown-up next to you what you think. Now, I'm observing that both of these shapes have three sides. They're about the same size, and they both look to me like they might be a triangle. But the one on the right looks like it's a little bit broken. So this is what we would call a closed shape and an open shape. The sides of a closed shape are like a fence where nobody can get in or out. There's no openings. When two sides of a shape do not meet, they do not make a corner or a point or a vertice, that is a shape that is open. So the only one of these two shapes that can be a triangle is the one that's closed, because a closed shape has the attributes that make it a triangle. So this is just to kind of get you thinking about what we're going to be doing today. We're going to look at some more triangles, and we're going to be talking about some of the attributes that the triangles have. So you'll notice that these are all triangles, and you can point with your finger, or I can point with my mouse to the side, to a vertex, and I can count that these have three sides and three vertices, which is what you say when you have more than one vertex. I'm also noticing that they're different sizes. The shapes are a little bit different. This triangle's white, this triangle's gray or shaded in, and this one has a polka dot pattern. So I'm trying to think about the attributes that these three triangles have in common. What are the things that these three triangles have that make them a triangle? And I'm also trying to think about the three triangles and what is different. And I'm going to put these into a chart for us to look at. So I'm noticing the things that are the same about these triangles is they all have exactly three vertices. They all have exactly three straight sides, because we know curved sides are not part of a polygon, and they are all closed. I could say at the top that all triangles, not just these triangles, would have these attributes in common. Now, these triangles are different. So the sizes are different. If I was going to get a ruler and measure them, the colors are different. They might even have patterns like polka dots or stripes. And I'm going to look one more time at these triangles. It looks like they're all sort of pointed or facing in different directions. So I'm going to add that as well. All right. So on this side, I'm going to put at the top of my chart some triangles and some other shapes might have different sizes, different colors, this should say patterns, sorry guys, and they can have, let's just make sure it makes sense, different directions that they point or face. So these attributes are all in a category together that we are now going to call defining attributes. So sorry about the typing. It's hard to type and talk at the same time. And these are all in the same category, which are non-defining attributes. So I can take a triangle and I can change the size or the color or the pattern, and it's still a triangle, like the ones that we just looked at. But if I change the number of vertices, or if I make one of the sides curved instead of straight, or if I open it up, it's not a triangle anymore. So, defining and non-defining attributes are really important because this helps us to figure out what shapes we have and what things belong and do not belong in both of these categories. So we're going to do this one more time with two different shapes, and we're going to take a look at what is defining them and not defining them. So I'm going to go to a new screen, and I'm going to draw two new shapes. We're going to pretend like these sides and lines are straight because it is tricky, as you guys know, to draw on the screen. So take a look at these shapes for just a second before we start our chart. We're going to make another chart with two columns. One column has defining attributes and one has non-defining. What attributes do both of these shapes have? What attributes do all rectangles have? And then what are some things that could make my shapes different from each other? All right, so let's start a new chart. There we go. And this time, instead of triangles, we are going to do rectangles. So on this side, I'm going to do defining attributes. And on this side, I'm going to do non-defining attributes. So over here, I'm thinking about all rectangles. And what do they have? Well, they all have 4, let's do the number, vertices. I'm looking back at my picture again. What else am I noticing? What other attributes define both of these shapes? I could say they all have 4 sides. I could say they are polygons. And I could say they have 4 square corners. Now, let's talk about this word polygon one more time. Remember, a polygon has to be closed. A polygon is flat. It has 3 or more sides, and they meet at a point. They meet at a point. That means the lines and sides of the polygon cannot be open, like we talked about earlier, and they can also not cross each other. So there's not a crisscross inside of a polygon. Now, I could take my pictures a little bit further and I could rotate these shapes. I could add designs or colors or patterns. I could shrink them or stretch them, and they would still be rectangles. That doesn't change what shape they are. So this is where we get into the non-defining attributes. Some rectangles and other shapes might be different sizes, be different colors, have different patterns or designs, be turned in different directions. So today, your assignment is going to be using defining attributes, the ones that are on the left side of both of our charts, to play I Spy with your family. I'm including a page that has the directions of how to play I Spy, and I want you to play a few different rounds with somebody in your family. Make sure to use defining attributes. When we play I Spy and we're not doing math, we say, oh, I spy something yellow. I spy something green. That's not what your teachers want to hear you doing, and that's not how we're going to play this kind of I Spy. We want to use defining attributes. So go back to the things on this chart that define a shape, like number of sides, or maybe some of the things from this chart, like vertices and closed and open, to point out what you're spying. At the end of the I Spy game, you're going to draw a shape that you used in the game, and you can write or type the clues that you used. So I hope you have fun with your family. Keep it up, mathematicians. Great job. Thank you for all of your hard work, and have fun playing.